excited. Today we are talking about stopping the fear that sabotages your homeschool. This is really exciting because it's something that I know all of us have been through. If we've just started homeschooling, we're thinking about homeschooling, or we've been homeschooling for a while, and maybe we've gone through that point to where we're having frustration, we're having stress, we're having complaining and low motivation happening, or maybe it's that we're also having that in the moment right now. And you guys, this can be a real trap that we get stuck in. I talk to families all over the United States and in other countries as well. And this happens everywhere because it's one of our biggest fears as parents. I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to share with you how this trap works in our homeschool life and how it keeps going and just recycles and makes things worse and worse. And I'm going to share with you how to get out of it. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you in a place where you're going to be stuck. If you guys don't know and you haven't joined us before, or this is the first time joining us, I am Cami Wanis, the Freedom Scholar. I am doing this live every single week. This is Live with Cami, and it's also our Homeschool Success with Cami Wanis podcast that we do every single Thursday at noon Pacific time. You guys, I'm so excited for you to join us in this journey because this is all the details that you need to figure out why fear has been really the thing that is causing all of this problems and how you can get out of it. It's so huge when you realize the source of this matter. I have been there. Trust me. I'm going to show you exactly how this cycle works. This is exactly how I started homeschooling. We were doing a great job, kindergarten, preschool, and then for some reason in my brain, I thought this is first grade. This is first grade. I know that first grade, we're going to really start to learn. First grade is when we really start to learn and we're going to get down and we're going to get dirty and we're just going to just learn all the things, right? We're going to do school, right? And so I got all the curriculum. I got all the little activities and the little playthings and the books and the everythings. And I got a little desk even. It was a little Tyke's desk, you guys. It was so cute, and had a little stool, and I was so excited, and I really was ready for us to get down and just enjoy learning because we had been enjoying learning thus far. And then all of a sudden, the day didn't go how I thought it would go. We're sitting at the desk, and I started doing stuff with him. We were doing little, worksheets and little workbooks, and he'd been kind of used to doing some of that, so he was with me. But about 15 minutes into it, he was kind of done. So he gets up and he starts to walk away. And man, I was like, buddy, we're not done yet. And he says, okay, I didn't know. And so he sits back down and he's a good boy. He likes to please. So he sits back down and he's like, okay. So he does about another 10 minutes and he gets up and he starts to walk away. And I was like, buddy, wait, we haven't done math. Oh my gosh, if we haven't done math, we are going to fail at life. I didn't say that to him, of course. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm like, if we don't do math, we're going to fail at life. Like literally, we have to make sure we get math done. We haven't done that yet. So buddy, and I'm trying to play it up. This is how we do as parents, as teachers, right? I'm a former teacher. And so this is what we do. Oh, buddy, look at this. This is amazing. Look at this. Oh, this is super fun. Check these little cars out. Check this out. And he sits down. He's like, all right, fine. And he starts doing a little bit more. And about 10 minutes later, he's done. Like really, really done this time. He's like, man, I was done a long time ago and I was just appeasing you. And now I'm really done. So he gets up and he starts to walk away. And I'm thinking to myself, we've only done about 30 minutes worth of studies. How are we ever going to get everything we need to know. And then I start to get afraid. And then I start to get a little anxiety about it because what are we going to do? And the next day, it's the same thing. Except now I can get a little less out of him because he knows what's going to happen. He's a smart cookie. And he's only 6 years old, but he knows what the deal is, right? And then the next day I can get a little less out of him, a little less out of him, a little less out of him. And I was thinking to myself, this is getting hard. It's getting really hard. And pretty soon he's crying every day. And I'm so stunned. I'm so flabbergasted. I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. I'm a trained educator. I'm an experienced teacher. This should not be happening. Of course, I taught high school. I didn't teach little kids how to read or teach little kids at all. So I was very unprepared for that. And I did have anxiety about that. And so pretty soon we're both crying because I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do. This shouldn't be like this. This wasn't how I envisioned this to go. I had all these great plans and this great idea and vision for what was going to be happening, and it was so different. He was fighting me, he was arguing with me, he didn't want to do anything, and I watched his love of learning drop. And that terrified me because I knew what that looks like in high school, and I didn't want that. And so what happened was I had to really stop and I had to think about what's going on here is my fault because he had never been to school. He doesn't know any different. And so I had to stop. I just stopped everything. And I was like, oh, no, no, we're done. We need to stop. And we need to reevaluate what's happening here. So you guys know that I've been there. I know what that cycle is like. I know that when I kept going, it got worse and worse and worse. I didn't know it then, but now I understand why. It's the fear of a parent, the fear that we're going to fail our kids, the fear that we're going to mess them up, the fear that they're going to miss out on things that they need to know to be successful in life. I talk to you guys every single day, and I know that this is our number one fear as parents. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a working mom, even if you're have your kids in public school, this is our number one fear as parents. And what that does is it puts pressure to do more, to be more, to have these results. And then it transfers to our kids, okay? So I'm going to show you something really quick. If you're listening to this on podcast, don't worry. This is a graphic of the cycle that we go through of all the things I just talked about. It's the vicious cycle. It's actually the homeschool breakdown trap. And I want to show you this so that you can see exactly if you're in this trap and where it stems from and how it keeps on going. If you're listening to this on podcast, I'm going to explain everything to you. Don't worry about it at all. And you can always watch a video replay. So let me just show you really quickly what this looks like. This is the homeschool breakdown trap. And this is exactly what it is that I went through. This is the whole story that I went through. It was over and over and over again in the same thing. And the more fear I had, it starts with fear. I did have anxiety before we started about teaching somebody how to read and teaching little kids. I had never done that before, but I knew I could probably figure it out. Obviously, I focused on the wrong thing, right? But that fear had me in the mom guilt stage. Like I just really wanted to feel like we were moving somewhere. I wanted to feel like I was proud of what we were doing. And it had me overwhelmed because I knew that I didn't really know what I was doing. And all the things my teacher friends were telling me that taught elementary school, they were like, well, you know this assessment, you know this curriculum. And I was like, No, I don't actually know about that. I taught high school, it's totally different, right? And that caused me a lot of stress. So that's the top. If you picture a triangle, that's the top of the triangle, that fear, the mom guilt, the overwhelm, the stress. Then we have to look at what that causes us to do. And so if you think about the top of the triangle is that fear, the bottom right side of the triangle is pressure. It causes us to feel pressure. We feel that educational should that I call the educational should. If you haven't listened to episode number 6 of our podcast, it's only on the podcast. Be sure to go listen to that because it talks all about that should. It's that pressure of the process. It's that we should be doing this at this time. We should be doing this amount of activity. Remember, I said, oh, if we don't do math, we're going to fail at life, right? We have to do math every day. And it could be anything, not just math. It's all that we got to be doing, keeping up with what's in public school. We got to make sure we're checking all the boxes. Checking boxes mentality is what we're talking about. We need to feel productive, not waste time and wasting money. We waste a lot of money because we feel the pressure. This is a symptom of the pressure is we waste a lot of money because we think, "Oh, we need this tool. We need this curriculum. We need okay, that curriculum didn't work. We need this curriculum." And oh man, okay, well, that was a battle. It's probably just the curriculum's fault. Let's get a different one. And we feel this pressure is building because now our kids are falling behind. And then it just keeps cycling, which causes the left side of the triangle, which is the low love of learning. I have LOL here just to shorten it up here, but it's low love of learning. The pressure causes low love of learning because everyone is feeling the pressure. Not only do you feel the pressure, but your kids are feeling it too because, hey, parents are the thermostats, especially us moms, right? We're the thermostats of our home. And if we feel stressed, if we feel overwhelmed, if we're feeling guilty and we're feeling pressured, the kids are too. And we're likely conveying that to them, even if it's subconsciously. So that lowers their love of learning because they don't want to feel pressured. They're like, hands off, no thanks, right? Because we all do. We don't want that. And that causes them to be frustrated. And then you're frustrated. The whole house is frustrated because not much is getting done and there's low learning. Even if you do get to do some learning, some lessons, the retention is not there because love of learning is low. When love of learning is low, retention is low. When love of learning is high, retention is there. It's high. I just had my son explain to me in just literally half an hour ago. He was explaining to me the periodic table of elements in the noble gases and the oh gosh, some kind of metal, alkaline metals. That's what it was. That's why I know I can't be the element teacher there. But he was literally explaining to me all the elements in those categories and how reactive they were, why they were reactive, what they react to, all these things. And it's so what they're used for. And he literally brought out a book and he showed it to me and he was teaching me a lesson on these noble gases and alkaline metals. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean, that stuff I do not know. I don't I don't know very much of that. And what I do know is from him. I don't remember any of that in school because I wasn't interested in it when I learned it, right? And but he is. And so really he knows this. This isn't something he learned recently. This is from memory that he learned I mean, a while ago, really. It could have been at least a year or two ago. Probably more than that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But that low love of learning has low retention. You learn it for as much as you need to, for the test, for the assignment, for the whatever, and then it's gone. So when you have your kids say, "Oh, they don't remember things. They don't know." What's the love of learning like, right? And it causes low motivation. What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do to get it done is your best scenario there. And a lot of times it's complaining, it's the fighting, the arguing, the refusing, those kinds of things, right? Just not doing it. What does that do to you as a parent? Causes more fear. oh my gosh, my kids aren't doing this. Now I'm guilty because I'm failing them and I can't get them to do stuff. So they're not learning. So now they're falling behind. Now I'm really overwhelmed because how do I catch them up? I don't know what to do. We're in this trap again. The fear, pressure, lower love of learning. Fear, pressure, lower love of learning. Fear, pressure, lower love of learning. And it's this trap. Do you see how that's a trap? You guys, I really want you to see this because it is so prevalent, especially as us new homeschoolers or people that haven't really been through homeschooling for a long time yet. Even though we think we're out of that trap, we may not be. If your kids are still doing the what do I need to do, just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. That's a sign that you're in that trap, okay? And it is sabotaging the beautiful joy, the random chemistry lessons, the experiences and the inspiration, the conversations and all of these things that you want to be happening in your homeschool that you know will lead you to that end goal of raising leaders and lifelong learners, right? So that's the trap that puts us in this frustrated, overwhelmed box that we feel like if we have to, if we could just check more boxes, if we could just get them to do the things, then we'll feel better about ourselves. But really, they're not retaining things. They're not learning. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. You guys, seriously, this is something I see every single day. This is exactly what the inspiring lifelong learning program is about. It's exactly what we do is to recreate and get you out of that trap. That's why I love what I do so much because that's a trap we were all stuck in public school, in regular school experiences. We're all stuck in that trap. It's that fear of like if you don't get good grades, you're going to fail at life. If you don't get your diploma, you're going to fail at life. If you don't do this assignment, you're going to lose out on points and you're going to get a bad grade. All this pressure and the fear, pressure and fear. I was part of it when I was in school and I was teaching. I tried not to be, but you can't get away from it almost. Like it's such a part of that culture. And what we want to do is take your homeschool out of that culture. And we want to break that trap and get you out of it. And we want to start creating a culture to where you're inspiring high love of learning consistently, right? Because that's where we can really start to create a beautiful homeschool experience that results in those lifelong learners and leaders. You guys, the way to get out of that trap, are you ready to learn this? Because this is huge. This is something I teach in the Educational Should podcast too. But the way that we get out of that trap is we got to break. What is it? You guys know it. The thing that it starts with, the fear. We've got to break the fear. We've got to retrain our brains to break out of that fear. That is the 100% hardest thing to do, to break out of that fear, because it's all around us. We compare ourselves to other homeschoolers. We compare ourselves to the curriculums that say fourth grade on it and our kids not there yet. We compare ourselves to the public schoolers. We compare our families comparing our kids, right, to other kids and other happenings. And it's very hard to get out of that trap, but we have to retrain that brain. We have to get out of that fear. Once we can break through that fear, we can really start to change the culture. But it has to start with you and the fear and limiting beliefs you have about yourself, about homeschooling, about the thought that you're going to mess them up. Yeah, we're always going to have a little bit of that in our minds that we're going to mess our kids up. I mean, that drives us for sure. If you're a good parent, which I know you are, if you're listening to this or watching this, that fear drives us. It really does. And it's a good thing. But it can really overtake and sabotage what we're trying to do. So what we want to do is break that fear by retraining the brain from that overwhelm, the stress that I'm going to mess my kids up, we're going to fail our kids. They're not going to get everything that they need to know. Got to get out of that. We're done with that. We're done with it because you can. You are going to do amazing things when you create the culture and the inspiring lifelong learning culture that really, really, really pre- prevents us from going backwards. We can always go backwards, but if we have a culture, it supports us, it holds us up. That is the key, you guys. This is the key. It starts with the fear, and then we start to create the culture. We reset the culture. Does that make sense, you guys? I hope this does. This is so huge. I just created this cycle, this graphic. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and just really putting that down in a visual way for you to think about why you're in a trap that feels like you're stuck all the time, or feels like you're lost, or feels like you can't get out of it. And that is the key, is breaking that fear, okay? I know you guys can do this. I believe in you. If you need help with that, reach out to me. I'm always available for your homeschool confidence call, totally free. Just let's have a chat. Literally, this is exactly what I love doing, is chatting with you guys and seeing what's happening, what do you want, what's going on, and how we can help you. So, you guys, this is so empowering. I hope you feel empowered today. This is something that will change everything about how your homeschool success happens. All right, you guys, I will see you again next week, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.